This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our new sponsor, Impact Tactical. They're a tactical outfitter for first responders and military. Me, guys, personally, I can vouch for them and their quality service. I've used them for the last 11 years of my career. Be sure to check them out at impacttactical.com. That's MPAK tactical.com, and be sure to tell them that Two Cops One Donut sent you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, welcome back. Two Cops, One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine, and this is take two. So for those listening, and you're like, what do you mean this is take two? We recorded about a half hour's worth, and we were having all sorts of technical difficulties. We were having delay issues. We were having echo issues. We were having audio white noise issue. I mean, we were trying to fix it every way possible, and finally it was just some computer restarts that we had to do. But I have a guest with me, Michael Mercer. He's a retired cop out of Maine, but I listened to about a half hour of his story, so if you see me not looking too surprised by a whole lot, it's because we talked for a good half hour. But hey, Michael, round two, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, great, Eric. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to hear myself twice. That was hard having a conversation with myself.
Yes. I do not know what the real issue was, because what was funny was he was complaining about an echo, and I couldn't hear it, and I didn't know how to tell him how to fix it, and it was working just fine on my end. And he dealt with it like a champ, and then all of a sudden at like 30 minutes exactly, it started happening to me, and he lost his echo. And I think it's Russian hackers, but
that's what it is.
Yeah, because it's weird. It just happened to, they're like, man, we can't frustrate this guy. Let's get the host. So then they went after me, and I couldn't get it to stop. And I was like, I can't keep going like this. So we switched it up, restarted. He has a podcast too, which we'll get to, but he understands the importance of audio quality and not frustrating the listeners. So I didn't want to take a chance of whatever echo he was hearing being recorded and coming through on his end through my stuff. So here we are, round two. Mr. Mercer, sir, before we get going, I want to let people know of my sponsors real quick. Impact Tactical. You can find them at impacttactical.com. It's difficult for me to say, I think, because I'm a northerner. So it's the letter M, if I'm not pronouncing very well, MPAK, P-A-K. So MPAKtactical.com is where you can find them. They're a tactical outfitter. Been using them the last 11 years. Very good stuff. And then my other sponsor, my original sponsor, Sergeant Paul Williams. He's with HRH Combat Arms. He's a retired sergeant from PD. He's also a Air Force veteran, but he is a gun guru, and he can meet all your gun needs with his Cerakoting and firearms. I don't know, savagery, whatever you want to call it. He can fix them up into your dream gun. So that's hrhcombatarms.com. Check them out. So now that we hit those guys up, let's get back to it, sir. All right, we're going to start from the beginning again. I want you to go into who you are, where you came from, and how you got into law enforcement.
Hey, Eric, great. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm so glad we got that taken care of. I got in law enforcement. I was super young. In high school, my grandfather was a cop in Torrance, California, which is just L.A. area. And I had a cousin that worked for Anaheim PD. And so, and I just wanted to be a cop, ever since I grew up in Southern California. So as a child, and I went to Walt Disney Elementary School and, close to Disneyland, which was cool.
Is that really what it was called?
Walt Disney Elementary School in Anaheim, California. I
Oh
lived
my God.
literally 5 blocks from Disneyland in the 60s and 70s. So
How well funded was that school?
I don't know. Disneyland wasn't as what it is today. That's for sure. I
Oh,
mean, it was
okay.
just a regular old amusement park back in the day, as it's grown to today. But
Okay.
but that's where I kind of I grew up there. When I saw the Anaheim, we had Angel 1 and Angel 2 for helicopters and for their police helicopters, and they landed in the back of one of the school. One I think we had like a summer break, and they were doing like cool stuff for summer school, and I thought that was the coolest thing. These guys came out and they were in helicopter pilots, and they worked for the police department. And then so I just Adam 12 was a big show for me growing up.
Yeah.
I just watched it all because they were literally there to me. Growing up in LA with these LA cops, they were like my cops that I was watching on TV, like my buddies, and I was, if anybody your audience remember the show Emergency.
Emergency.
That was around the same time in the late 60s, early 70s. And that was about paramedics, Squad 51 in LA County. And so there's a hospital there in Harbor City. I was born in that hospital. So I guess I have a little bit of that Adam 12 emergency right in my DNA right from the start. So I always wanted to be a cop. Got into high school. I thought I wanted to be a teacher because I ended up loving teaching. I like to be able to teach people things and to help them through any types of situations that they have. But I didn't want to sit in a classroom, so I found the best of both worlds. Really, I started doing a ride along in high school, and then after high school, a good friend of mine who was kind of a mentor when I moved here in Maine, an athlete. I was an athlete here. He helped me coach. He coached me. He was a cop in my hometown. And I'm telling you, I learned community policing from John Reed. John Reed was my pal when I was in high school. He took me on ride-alongs, and I said, I want to be John Reed. I want to be that community cop where he called everybody Haas. I mean, he was the regular guy that got out and had coffee with everybody and said, "Hey, Haas, how you doing today?" He may not have known you, but he called you by, everybody knew him by Haas, right? It is Big John Reed. And so I said, I want to be that guy. That's a really cool guy. He's giving back. He's coaching, he's helping out. He's doing the best he can. And so that was kind of my model. And then I just said, well, I can teach and have the best of both worlds, not be stuck inside a classroom. I can be in a patrol car like John Reed did and have his office in his car. And that just really kind of said, okay, I'm going to be a cop. So I started working in a traffic division in Portland PD. I mean, literally, I was 17, 18 years old when I got the job as a meter maid, and I was doing concerts and with the full-time guys, and I was a big basketball player. I played college ball, and so the chief at the time, I used to come over on Friday nights at Portland PD, and I'd play basketball with them. And he said, "Mercer, I love the way you play ball." So I was literally 20 years old. He said, "You got to take the civil service test, right?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "I like the way you play." So I ended up working for Portland PD, and then actually and didn't take the civil service test for them, but I got hired by a department which was the next really 2 towns over for much higher pay. And I was 20 years old. I was young. I hadn't gone to the academy. I didn't know if I was violating your constitutional rights or my own. But I had common sense. I worked a year on the street before I even went to the academy. But that's what it was in 1985, 86, 87. And I finally went to the police academy in 1987. And, I was a very young man, and that's all I'd ever done. And so I became a cop in Maine and worked there for a while, did some great stuff. Working for a small PD, you get to do a lot of things. Really, you think you don't work. You may not get a volume of a lot of things, but if you work enough time, you're gonna catch most of the stuff, right? You're gonna get most of your some of your major crimes. You're going to be able to work police work, and when you're a young cop, you want to work police work, right? You want to solve crimes, you want to catch bad guys, and answering barking dog calls at 3:00 in the morning for a 25, 26, 27-year-old cop. I needed a change, so I went to Mesa PD, which went from a 13-man PD to a city of about 800,000 people. So it really was where I wanted to be. I knew that I could be I could help people. I could really diversify what I wanted to do into a police department, right? I could work into gangs. I could work into all kinds of. I could work into homicides if I wanted to. I could work into drugs. There are a lot different areas that you can get into with a larger police department. So I got hired with Mesa in 1993. And I went to the police academy there when I was 27. So they didn't take the Maine Academy. They needed a post certified back then. So I went to the Mesa Police Academy, and I have some of my brothers that I'll love forever that graduated with me there, that I still have close friends today that are just so dear to me. So I treasure that academy. It's Mesa Police Academy #2, Bulldogs. So it was a great time. So I worked for Mesa Police Department. Like I said, had great opportunities. I worked with gangs. I was on the community action team we did things back then called POP projects, which were police oriented or problem oriented policing. I know the acronym has a lot of different meanings today.
Yes. Yes. Pissed off police. That's the more common one.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the time, right?
Yeah.
But back in community policing, we worked with the community to solve problems. We got out of our cars, we shook hands, and I was able to do that. I was able to learn from the original community policing officer of John Reed, and kind of bring that into this division. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It gives a good break because you need to explain to the people who John Reed is, because any investigator out there who's ever learned how to talk to suspects in an interrogation room, they learned from John Reed.
Let me tell you, it's you mean John Reed, the interrogator?
Yeah, is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, no, not at all. This is actually a pal who's just an old farmer, became a cop.
Oh, with coincidence, because the guy that created the Reed technique is John Reed. So I'm sitting here thinking that you're talking about John Reed, the John Reed.
Oh, no. I finally got that now. I'm like, oh my God, he's thinking the art of interrogation.
Yes.
No, it's not. So yeah. So this
I'm like,
guy
you worked with a legend.
Was just a regular town guy. He was a horse guy. His dad ran a track, a horse track. They had a whole bunch of horses. But he knew how to talk to people, right, Eric? That was the key.
Yes.
Is that he understood how to talk to and this guy didn't learn it from John Reed, the art of interrogation. This guy learned it by just being out with people and understanding people. Mm-hmm. And he treated people the way he wanted to be treated. And that was the golden rule. That was the rule that I learned by as a young age. Treat people the way you want to be treated. You're going to get around pretty good. And that's what John Reed was. And that's what kind of brought me all the way into Mesa, which actually said, okay, get out of the car, find out what the problem is, come up with some solutions. Really, in a large department, as you well know, Eric, you have so many resources that you can pull from. It's called asset mapping. You pull from places that you need. If you've got a utility issue, pull from the utilities. If you've got barking dogs and crazy animals, you pull from that department. But we become problem solvers, right, as cops, and that's what was so fun about that unit. And I hope that PDs start getting back to community policing, because that's where real crime is prevented. That's where real communities are protected, is through community policing, because we could drive through neighborhoods all day long with our windows up. That's not deterring crime at all, is it? It doesn't do one thing at all. It shutters them for a second and they come back out.
Yeah, it gives a false sense of protection to those that don't know any better. They see a cop car roll through the neighborhood and they're put at ease, but their car is going to get broken into, that night, and they're going to be like, well, it's because that patrol car left my neighborhood. No, they will break into your car the minute that car passes. They could be hiding in the bushes. They'll see that patrol car. They'll wait for it to pass, and then they're breaking into your car. How do I know that's happened? I've seen it on video, people's Ring doorbells, whatever it is. It shows the guy. He ducks into a bush. He just broke into 3 other cars because you left your car door unlocked. And he gets in there, shuts the door quietly, steals all the crap that he was looking for, gets back out, shuts the door quietly. All of a sudden he sees headlights, which is the cop. Cop rolls by. He hides in the bush. As soon as that cop passes, he continues his business going car to car, seeing which doors are unlocked. So I can attest personally that I have seen that just because you have a patrol car in the area is not going to prevent crime from happening.
Well, you're not going to fool the bad guy.
No.
They're the bad guys. I mean, they know how to get away with it. It's the dummies that we catch, right? It's the idiots that we catch.
Yes.
But you're only fooling the public. If a cruiser only goes through a neighborhood at 11 and 3, you don't think the bad guy knows that you go through at 11 and 3?
Right. And the part of the thing I like what you said, and I want people to kind of focus in on this part is work at community policing, getting back to community policing. First, I want to say that, yes, community policing, in my opinion, is the only way to police. And what I mean by that is us as police officers, we cannot do our job without you. We can get by. We can solve some crimes, but not nearly as efficiently and effective as if we worked together. Okay? Sure. So we need each other. You definitely can't be without cops, and cops definitely can't be without its citizen support. So the trick is fixing that and making that as best as we can. And then one way is by getting out there and not just meeting people and talking to them because you're trying to check some boxes. It's actually having a vested interest in going out and talking to people and getting to know them. For me, in police work, and you tell me, Mike, if this works for you, but my favorite thing is talking to the people that cops don't want to talk to. You know, they're like, oh, don't go talk to Johnny Two Shoes over there. He's crazy. I like having conversations with crazy.
Absolutely.
I think it's fun. I love hearing the stuff that comes out of their mouth. Like, it's free entertainment. And not
they brag. They brag to you. They'll tell you anything they want to know. Man. They're great. And
it's not I'm not doing it at anybody's expense. It's generally interesting to hear a string of sentences from somebody that maybe is crazy, maybe has a MHMR type thing, or is just different. It's hard to explain. So I enjoy those conversations. I like hearing the stuff, but you never know what bit of information is going to come out that actually helps, and vice versa. The cool thing is a person that nobody's been given the time of day to, that's why they're spitting as much as they're spitting. People don't sit down and have a conversation with them. Eventually they're going to run out of stuff to say. So as an officer, like, I look at that opportunity to sit down or stand or whatever and just listen, hear them out, talk to them. But that is having a vested interest. That is getting to know the undesirables. And you guys, you can have conversations with your bad guys even while they're sitting in the back of the car with cuffs on. Like, you get a lot more with honey. And trust me, it works.
Oh, better than vinegar, absolutely.
But you need to mean it. It can't be fake.
Yeah, you can't go out there with your FI card and be FIing all these people. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You got to go out there. You got a coffee in your hand, and right, or whatever you're doing. But you're not going to sit down with a bunch of kids and say, "I got to FI you guys." That's not community policing,
right? Yeah, absolutely. And in rookies, I get it. For the newer cops out there, like, you got a lot of steps going through your head. And being personable is going to be the last thing that you're going to be thinking of, because you're thinking of all the safety steps. What laws have I got here that have been broken and violated? What am I required to do by the department here? What am I required to do by law? So these things are constantly going through your rookies' heads. So the community out there listening, if you're wondering why you get these robot cops, this is why. Because they're processing a very difficult job. There's a lot of crap going through your head. And even if you are I am a people person. I always have been. But when I was a rookie, I guarantee you're getting the deer in the headlight looks. When I'm out there, I'm not in conversation mode. I'm in, how do I not get fired mode? How do I not violate your rights mode? What rights do I have here right now as an officer? Am I even allowed to stop and talk to you? Did I, all these things are going through my head because I don't want to screw up that part. And once you get comfortable with those processes and realize now, that I've done the job 17 years. It's really simple if you keep it broken down to its basic stuff. I know when you broke a law, so as long as I know a law's been broken, I don't have to think of what the law is. I just, all right, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Okay, let me go talk to that guy. I'm not thinking of anything else other than the conversation now. And that's where the genuine conversation comes in. So a guy like you start out in what is the godfather land of community policing, because LAPD, I believe they're the ones that really flipped the script from that professional policing, just the facts, ma'am, to realizing that doesn't work either. Like we had to go back. And
we started, and Mesa PD actually started what is called crime-free multi-housing. It's an actual program that's developed and in partnership with the police department and the apartment complex owners / apartment renters, whoever it is. It could be the complex itself. But we started crime-free multi-housing, and there's a whole bunch of criteria that they need to comply with in order to be considered, a Mesa crime-free multi-housing complex that obviously helps them with rent. It helps them allow them to get a better rent, right? And better insurance breaks. So there's a lot of benefit involved there. But on the other side, you're getting rid of all the bad folks. You're evicting people. So what we did there, we not only started crime-free multi-housing, but we started crime-free everything. You name it. There was a crime-free multi-housing. There was crime-free storage units, crime-free multi-storage. So we developed a lot of these, which were based in CEPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design.
Okay.
And I got trained in CEPTED in Arizona, and now I'm only one of 7 national or internationally accredited CEPTED practitioners in the United States. So that all came out of Mesa PD, is understanding CEPTED and understanding how our environment and what we do around us, our built up environment, can actually lower or raise the opportunity for crime.
So hold on 1 second. Yeah. Because I have heard of the program for housing or for apartments, and that works wonderfully. I have heard of city design, so to prevent crime, but I've never considered it for storage units. And
absolutely,
that is a huge place for crime to happen, especially where I'm a property crimes detective. So you said that and light bulbs are going off in my head. I'm like, why have I never thought of this? So I may have to implement this at my city or get the idea going.
It's amazing that the template's already out there. So just look at Mesa crime-free storage unit. And you could implement there. It's about putting the right locks on. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff that you give to these owners. Say, hey man, not only are you going to stop crime and help prevent crime, but you're going to get a break on your insurance. You're going to get better. You're going to get better tenants. You're going to be able to screen your tenants better. You're going to have natural surveillance. You're going to have different surveillances, which you're going to include CEPTED practices that are involved in that. So. Oh, I'm stoked that you like. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. I thought everybody heard of it, but
no, I never heard of that one.
Be cool for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm very pumped about that because our storage units are getting hammered lately, and we've got a lot of tools to go after that. But I'm about prevention if I can, instead of trying to catch these guys after the fact. So that will be very helpful.
No, that's great. No, but community policing was great. So I left. And it even takes a step further. I actually worked in one of my projects. So I had an apartment complex of 1033 South Longmore, and we were doing 800 calls for services a month. And so this was in my beat, in my regular beat.
Oh, so you lived in your beat.
Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
So I took over this POP project. I said, I'll take this as a POP project, try to reduce the calls for services, work within our crime-free multi-housing. So the new owners were all up for this. They gave me an apartment. I lived there rent free. I did some patrol at night for them. I worked with the new ownership. We got our calls for services down within 6 months by 80%.
Damn. For those that don't follow stats very much, that's what we call a significant stat right there. That's a huge number.
Well, we got rid of the bad guys. We were able to go in there and make lease addendums that if they didn't sign them, they were evicted immediately. So if you got a lease and you say, well, I won't sign a drug-free addendum, well, sorry, you can't live here anymore. Or we do a 29 check on you and you've got 19 warrants, you can't live here anymore. That type of stuff. And so we were able to, and they didn't like it, man. I had a drive-by shooting. I had a loft apartment, so it sat a little higher. Mm-hmm. I heard these wheels come through there, and I heard they came out and they shot up my front window. And I came out of there I was up in my loft. I came out of there and I came down and they turned down. I couldn't get a shot on them, but they knew I was there. And I had a meth lab on top of me that I was waiting to get a warrant to get up there because I knew something was going on and just couldn't figure out how to get out of there.
Were you making a lot of money with your meth lab?
yeah, that's up there. Yeah. And so in the apartment complex I'm literally in, there, I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to get a warrant for these guys. I'm trying to figure out how I can get in that apartment. And so I wake up with a huge crash. The ceiling, my ceiling, which is their floor, collapsed into my kitchen. And all the meth crap and everything else that was up there came down into my apartment.
Oh man!
So now I had the reason to go up there because I had exigent circumstances, right? So I could jump up there without a warrant. And they knew I was the cop, and they left all of their crap and chemicals up there. So it ate through the floor.
Damn.
And so that's the type of place I lived in. I submerged myself into the Vadio, but we cleaned it up. We had community cooperation in that way. Because most of these communities, I tell you right now, 100% of every community that I worked in and lived in, they all want to be safe. There's something about that. They all want to live in safety and freedom. Yeah. So they're not unique. It's every neighborhood wants that. Yep. And so
the only ones that typically fight against it, which the criminals are obviously they fight against it, but it's anybody that benefits from the crime. They're like on this fringe. So if they're getting kickbacks and stuff from local dealers or whatever to keep their mouth shut or whatever, that's a problem too. And that's the ones you got to win over because they're going to be the loudest opposers of you out there trying to make it better for an area. So those are the ones I like to focus on because if you're giving me shit for being in here and trying to solve the crime issues that all these citizens are complaining about, because I'm not just making it up. I don't just go in there on my own. There's legitimate complaints from, community leaders and stuff. So you go in there and you're getting kicked back. Oh, you police are corrupt. You're just in here. I'm like, maybe you have some validity to what you're saying. Maybe you saw something, but why are you being so outspoken in a neighborhood that everybody else wants our help? Now, if a whole community's turning on their police, there's more meat to that, and that stuff needs to be worked out. That's where the real community fixing needs to happen. But when you've got just these outliers in a community that's begging for your help and is willing to go above and beyond to get the crime out of their area, that's a cause for concern. So officers out there listening, and you're just learning how to do this stuff, or you're looking for new ideas. I mean, shit, this Mesa crime-free storage unit stuff, I guess it's been around a long time. I never heard of it. So even in all my
97 years, anyways,
constantly learning new stuff. Never be a full glass. Always have more room to learn. So if you're trying to learn this stuff, look for your outliers in your communities that are pushing back real hard against in a community, in a sea of community that really wants your help. So that's a weird thing to do. So. But that's awesome, man. It's crazy that the floor came through. That I could just imagine the sheer look of surprise, because typically meth labs never stay empty. There's usually always somebody in them. Back then, that's when it was the meth labs were dangerous.
They didn't have the clean meth processes that they have today. They had the red phosphorus that would eat just about anything. And real chemical stuff.
Tons of
So
Sudafed boxes. And
pseudoephedrine, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For people that don't know, meth has went through its process of basically making it safer to make. You'd find these pop bottles or soda bottles. Sorry, I'm in Texas. I got to say soda. I'm from Michigan originally. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay. So you got pop. All right. That's a Midwest.
Yeah. So they would make meth. They call them shake and bakes with a pop bottle. They just shake them up, and I shouldn't shake like this. I got to shake like this. Some of my friends will make fun of me like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're going to get it now.
Yeah, they're going to video edit something in my hand that's inappropriate. So, but yeah, so meth has definitely gone a long way. Now it's fentanyl that you got to worry about. Yeah. Killing people, killing cops, killing first responders that, they're just trying to get your ID out of your pocket after you fell out and overdosed or whatever. And now you got emergency workers collapsing. So, but no, man, that's awesome. Okay. So I love the fact that you lived in your hood. A lot of cops. I don't live in my city.
Well, it was fortunate. It was great timing. I would not suggest it if you're married and had kids. I wouldn't. My wife left me, and I needed a place to stay.
So you're a real cop.
It was a fortunate circumstance. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a real cop. The funny saying is, after your second divorce is when you can finally say you're not a rookie anymore.
Well, I hope I'm going to stay a rookie because I've been married for 12 years now, and she's the most wonderful woman in the world. So
nice. I've been with my wife since 7th grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we are a rare breed. We have not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been together a long time. Now, I said it hasn't been straight like 7th grade. Think of 7th grade.
I know you dated other people. Yeah, sure.
When summertime came, we break up because we both knew we wouldn't see each other, and then we'd date in school in 8th grade, and then summertime would come, and so it was off and on until we got our licenses, basically, and then once we could drive and see each other, and I think we just kind of stuck it out after that. My memory's not as good as hers, so she'll be able to tell you like the exact date and time that we stayed together, but high school sweethearts, all that. She's been there through all of the military, active duty, moving, getting out of Flint and moving around and stuff. And it's funny. It's a little short story. My wife, she decided 2 years ago, maybe more, she wanted to be a nurse. Now, she's never had any career motivation. I guess it's something that she said she's wanted to do. And then she's like, what would you think about me being a nurse? I want to help deliver babies and stuff. And I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, go for it.
That's cool.
And the girl she was taking 17 credit hours. Yeah, in a semester. She's almost done. She graduates in December. She just got hired at a hospital that is for children. It's called Cook's. It's a very popular, famous hospital in Texas anyway. So she got hired at Cook's as a tech right now until she finishes her degree, and then she can, I don't know what they call it, residency or whatever the hell that stuff is.
Oh, good for her. Yeah. Good. She's living her dream.
Yes, sir. But yeah, so you get, it's hard in this career field. You know firsthand, it is hard on the relationships if they aren't, they got to be fully on board. They got to fully accept what the job is.
Absolutely. And we'll get to that eventually. I do have a podcast that I do talk about that. I talk about, family life with, how cops deal with that, and why is there such a high divorce rate? I talk about, officer and veteran wellness, which is really the four. I know we're getting off another tangent, but we could talk about what veteran officer wellness later. But really, the four legs of the stool is physical wellness, mental wellness, psychological wellness, and spiritual wellness. And you need to have all of those intact. And cops have a hard time balancing all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so cops and veterans, I am both. And so I know that, and as we get into the story, I have a little bit more street cred that'll let you know that I know what I'm not talking about.
All right, I gotcha. Okay, so you go through your divorce, obviously, because a meth lab fell through your house, and Yeah, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
yeah, that was fun. Yeah, not the ex-wife. Yeah, the ex-wife didn't have the meth lab, but I ended up in a tweaker apartment and below one. And so, but we cleaned that apartment. But the point is that community policing works. We got to get out there and we got to be with people. So, but I left there. I got divorced. My wife came back to Maine, and I ended up with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department, which is where, if people know, Portland, Maine is the largest city. Portland is in Cumberland County. So
Portland, Maine is the largest city.
What's that?
Portland, Maine is the largest city in Maine.
It is. Yeah, it's only got about 80,000 people. So
how close is it to the coast? How close is it to the coast?
Portland is right on the water.
Oh,
it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half north of Boston. Portland headlights right there. I mean, Cumberland County is really, really beautiful. We have lakes, we have the ocean. I live right now. I live 15 minutes to the ocean and 5 minutes to the lake. So it's a nice little spot. But I moved back here, got a job with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department as a deputy, and 9/11 hit, and I joined the Navy. And I worked as a well, what happened was, Eric, is that they were bringing in, I said I needed to do something. I said I'd been a cop for 15 years at that point, and I said I got to do something. What can I do? And I just called, there was a recruiter here in Portland. I said, listen, this is my experience, this is what I know how to do, how can I help? And they said they just changed the billet for the MA, which is the Master at Arms, and they changed it to, they're hiring a whole bunch of cops. They're recruiting a whole bunch of cops. They're changing the billet to really force protection. It's anti-terrorism, counterterrorism unit, surveillance, and things like that. You'd be attached to squadrons. You'd be on ships, things like that. So I said, let's do it. So they brought me in as an E5, and at that point, I was 36. I turned 37 in boot camp. So you had to be 37 at the time you graduated boot camp. So I was 37, and Great Lakes, love it.
Yeah.
And came back and worked for the Sheriff's Department. The Brunswick Naval Air Station happens to be right in the county that I work in. So it was convenient for me to do my drill duty, do my work for the Navy, and do my community work with the county and as a cop. So that was some pretty cool times, man. It really was, because it was like you asked at the beginning, did I always want to be a cop? I said I did, but everybody, both my grandfathers served. I have people serving in the Civil War and the Revolutionary War, and then I have World War I, World War II. I don't have anybody in Korea, but I have my dad and my uncles in Vietnam. And I was able to serve. I had that opportunity, again, the opportunity to jump and serve my country, because I didn't when I was 19. I was going to go in on the buddy system, on the buddy thing with my buddy in the Air Force. And he said, well, yeah, you guys won't be separated. You'll be fine. You guys can hang out together and all that. And I backed out on him. So I always felt bad about backing out when I was 19. I became a cop. He went to Germany. And I ended up becoming, a Navy sailor, and after 9/11. So
you left him hanging, exciting, man. You left your boy hanging.
Well, the girlfriend at the time said she wasn't going to marry me if I joined the Air Force, and so I knew how to. I started working for Portland PD as a traffic, like a meter maid. And but I played basketball, so the chief there loved basketball, and we had a Portland PD basketball team. We traveled all over New England, and I could dunk, I could rebound, I could do all that. So he said, "You play basketball?" I was 19 years old. Oh yeah, this white boy can dunk, and
it's an old movie reference, guys. Old movie reference.
Oh, it's not racial at all. Come on, white man can jump.
Which is a great movie. How tall are you?
6'5".
Holy shit, you're tall as hell. I can't tell looking at you through the picture or through the video, but dang, dude, 6'5".
My wife's 5 foot, so we make a perfect pair.
Oh jeez. I'm jealous, fucker. I'm 5'11".
No, believe me, it's hard on the bones when you're this, when you're tall. You get old and achy.
Yeah.
And,
You would not survive in these new patrol cars.
oh, I've seen them.
Those
I've been outfitting them with some stuff. Oh,
yeah, and those Dodge Chargers, they are a nightmare for tall guys. They're built for.
Are you guys driving those in the city?
We have switched. They are there, but I think we've switched over specifically to Tahoes and Ford Explorers. We're going more to the SUV stuff, just because equipment, comfort. We're not pursuing nearly as much as we used to, which is a good thing in my opinion. I'm not big on pursuits. Talked to a few people about that recently that are like, but you never know what you're going to get. Well, yeah, you never know what you're going to get until that pursuit forced its way and T-boned some innocent kid or whatever. And then you got to live with that because it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
Well, with the use of air support today, if you've got air support, there's real no need for it.
Yes. And especially if you got the guy ID'd, if you know who it is,
right.
Let it go. You'll get them. You just got to use your brain. But if there's an immediate danger to the public, it's a guy that's wanted for homicide and he's obviously going around showing that he's going to shoot at people or whatever it is, you got to earn your paycheck and you got to.
Come on, there's circumstances for everything.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Right. DWIs, I've seen recently some badass female, I think it was a Florida trooper, maybe. She went the wrong way down the freeway and used herself as the stopping point for the guy. I mean, head-on collision with him and stopped him in his tracks. That takes figurative balls. I could not do that.
No doubt about it.
I don't know that I would do that, but she did, and she's I think she got a broken rib and a punctured lung out of it. But
oh man, well,
hopefully she fares
good for her.
well.
God bless her.
But okay, so you're out at Portland. You're running traffic and stuff. I'm gonna look up Portland now because I don't think I've ever. The name should have gave it away that it is a seafaring city. But
don't be confused with the left Portland, the other side, on the way other side. Yeah. That is not on the ocean. That happens to be on the Columbia and the River Gorge. So it's not on the ocean. Okay. We are an actual port town. So it's right on the port. It's
nice.
Come to Maine, man. We'll have some lobster. I don't eat lobster, but people love it, and we have the best, they say. So
I'm interested for sure. Me and my wife, we're travelers for sure. We're going to Barbados this summer. We're big into the Caribbean. We like going down there. We are going to we're doing a split vacation. This is the first of its kind. My oldest, she's 12. She thinks she's too big to go to Disney. So my youngest, who is 10, she's a female, Cambry. She is going to go with mom to Disney because mom loves Disney. I like Disney too. I don't want anybody to think I ain't fronting. I love Disney. Don't get me wrong. I want to go. Right. But the oldest doesn't want to go. And I have been in her shoes where I get forced to go on a vacation that I wasn't enjoying and wouldn't enjoy. Because I was a kid and I was stubborn and I refused to enjoy myself. And I am not spending that type of money for a kid to go and prove a point. So I rather redirect that energy into something I know she'll enjoy and learn. Well, she was born in Montana where I was stationed. So she's going to go visit her birth state, and we are going up by Glacier, which is, if you ever get a chance, it's better than Yellowstone. Go to Glacier. The locals go to Glacier. All the tourists go to Yellowstone. So it's a dude ranch. So we're going to go on a cattle drive. We're going to go riding horses up in the mountains. We're going to be camping out. We're going to go fishing on a lake that you can see all the way to the bottom, and you cannot use any type of electronic or motorized boats on. So, yeah, we're going to get the whole cowboy prairie experience out there, and I think she'll love it.
That's my dream.
Yeah.
That's my dream, brother.
Right?
I can't believe you just mentioned that. A dude ranch. My wife and I stayed at a dude ranch a year and a half ago in Tombstone, Arizona.
Okay.
And it was so cool. Oh, my gosh, it was so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I in the summer times, for 2 summers in Michigan, I helped take care of horses at a buddy's house, and learned a lot, how to saddle them, how to wash them off and feed them and stuff like that. Basics. I'm not going to say I'm like a cowboy by any means, but I'm comfortable around horses, so I've put that into my kids. We've gone horseback riding a few times and stuff like that. So this will really give her an opportunity, especially us living in Texas now. And you know, Fort Worth being right there it's a cow town, and that's, if she ever wants to get into that, this is the time to start seeing where her heart's at for that. And I think it'll be fun for us, you know, daddy daughter thing. And maybe next year we'll flip that script, and I'll take my youngest somewhere, and my wife will take my oldest, if we can't all agree on a vacation. So
yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I don't want anybody out there to be like, man, you spoil your kids so bad that you're letting them pick their own vacation. No, she didn't pick this. I picked it because it's going to be something I want to do. And any vacation, I want them to learn stuff. I want them to experience what it's like to get out, and, you know, we make them order their own food. We make them try new things. We do, you know, it's a learning experience. So
that's a good parent right there.
I try to be
a good parent.
Try to be. But anyway, brother, back to you. Gotta get off my soapbox. This ain't about me. It's about you today.
Hey, it's about conversation, man. It's all good.
That's right. You got any kids?
I do. He's 20. Boy, I hate to say this.
Your dad. We understand.
Him. No, he's 28 years old.
Okay.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he's 28, and he lives here. And my current wife, she doesn't have any kids, so I just have one child.
Okay.
And he lives out here. He wants to move out to Arizona when I move out. So
okay,
be kind of nice for him to come back out there. So
is he following in the footsteps for police life, or
well, he kind of was. And then the whole COVID thing hit, and it kind of blew him out of the water. And we had a good conversation. And he had gained some weight, like a considerable amount of weight, and he wanted to go into Border Patrol. Well, he passed everything with the Border Patrol, but he couldn't pass the physical agility test. So we had a long conversation about where his dreams were, where his goals were, and I said, just because your old man's a cop doesn't mean you have to be one either. It just doesn't have to be, you know. So I said, but if you do want to be a cop and you want to, I said, I have never seen anybody, if they want something so hard, I said, pain is the only thing that makes you get what you want to do. So if the pain's too great, you'll make it happen. And so he you know how he was 26 at the time. So he looked at me like, Dad, you know what you're talking about. He came back the next day. I said, son, you got to lose the weight, right? He said, yeah, Dad, you were right. So he needed to lose a good 100 pounds. I'm serious. He was way overweight. And I was too. I was 100. I was 300 pounds. So 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, we had that conversation. And in a year and a half, he lost 135 pounds and I lost 108 pounds.
Damn.
And we rocked it.
That's a lot of fucking weight.
He lost 135 pounds. And then we started talking. He said, well, I said, dude, you don't need to go into Border Patrol. I said, I just started a new company, which is a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that. I said, you'll be able to come over and work with me. I said, you won't have to deal with that. I said, you got your goal, you got your weight loss. Now we're ready to rock and roll. So, he's doing great. We did that together. We did keto.
Okay. Yeah, I've done keto.
We did keto. We dropped keto. We dropped it like, within 3 months, I lost probably 45 pounds, and then exercising. I just made a habit. Every morning I got up at 4:30. I went to the gym every single morning, Eric. Yeah. Every single morning, and I just didn't quit. I just said, Connor, we got to do this. And then eventually I started looking. I started looking good. I started saying, oh my gosh, I see muscles. You know, I'm 50. I was 54 at the time. And I said, oh my gosh, maybe I will see abs one day again. Mm. And then it just turned out that, you know, I saw some abs and I kept working out. And I actually was in a bodybuilding competition in October where I came in first place in first responder. And this is my first place prize.
All right. Very cool.
And then I got first place, second place, and fourth place in my bodybuilding competition. So I talk about wellness because I was fat. I was fat and overweight, and I'd gone through so many different changes and as in my career as a cop, right? You start off, you're young, I was actually a little overweight when I went to the academy because I actually worked the street for a year before I went to the academy. So I was eating, 7-Eleven donuts,
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning.
It's all that was available.
But we go through so many different changes in our lives and the types of shape that we're in as cops, right? We there's no real standard. You're either really, really good, healthy, and then finally the job takes its toll on you and you just become unhealthy. So I was working for the sheriff's department back in 2004 when I got called to respond to back up another deputy who had been on a call, who a truck had overturned doing some, I don't know what he was doing, but he was drunk and he was taking the guy off to jail. It was snowing. It was December in Maine. It was cold. All I needed to do was go down there and wait for the wrecker, and it was, and call it good. It was go 10-8. So he took the bad guy, the drunk, off the jail. And I went down. It was this old towpath. It was old logging road they went down to some camps, but he had flipped his truck up on the top of this ridge. And while I was waiting for the wrecker, I noticed that his gas tank was facing down towards the ponds. So I went over to the back of the truck to see where the gas was leaking, and there was so much ice buildup. I'd slipped off the back of the truck down 40 feet and hit my head and laid unconscious for 4 hours. And without, anybody coming to check on me. Nobody gave me a radio check. I woke up after that with snow on my chest. I was hypothermic. I saw my flashlight over to the right. It was still on, so I grabbed it. It was a stream light. I grabbed my stream light, and then I was able to crawl my way up this ravine because I could see my headlights in my cruiser. I got to my cruiser. The wrecker showed up and asked me if I'd been shot. I said, no, man, I'd fallen and I'm hurt pretty good, I think. So I got into my car, and I thank God that I left it running because it was really, really warm inside there, and I needed that. I was really, really cold. So I called. I said, hey, dispatch Mercer. I don't even remember what my call sign was anymore. I'm here, but I've been hurt really bad. Can you send an ambulance? So now they wake up, right? Now dispatch wakes up from their snooze that they were in. I don't know if they were watching old reruns or something on the monitor, right, but they weren't thinking about me, that's for sure. And so what I did was that I called and the ambulance came to the top of the road. And remember, I'm down this towpath. So I said, okay, the ambulance can't get down to me. So they said, can you drive up? I said, I'll do my best. So driving up this towpath up to get my ambulance. Now I get stuck in my cruiser, my patrol car. The wrecker behind me lifts me up and turns around and tows me up to the top of the road to my ambulance, where I could then get into my ambulance, go off to the hospital. Well, I was hypothermic, and they gave me some x-rays and said I had a concussion, and told me that, told my fiance at the time, hey, make sure he's okay tonight and keep an eye on him. They sent me home. Well, I went home that next morning. I woke up and I stepped out of bed, and it was like I was a 3-0. I couldn't talk. I was stumbling. I was slurring my words. I went downstairs to see the fiance I was living with, and she was like, we got to get you to the hospital. So got to the hospital. They did a CAT scan. I had a brain bleed in my subcortex of my brain here, which when I hit here. And then I had a rebound contusion to the left front lobe of my brain. So when I hit, it pushed it, and then it rebounded, did me a little concussion there too. Well, a bruise. And so it took me a couple of years to learn to talk and walk again. So I went through some serious times, did some work, tried to get back on the sheriff's department for some light duty, did some work with outlaw motorcycle gangs that I worked out in Arizona. We had some HA and some outlaws here that got into a fight. There was a homicide. There was some territory stuff going on. And they asked me to work it and really do some briefing and get some intel out to patrol. Now, I was still going through therapy, learning. I couldn't talk well. I was, but I was doing my best to. I wanted to be a part of the team still. You know what I'm saying? You still want to be part of that team. You don't want to get discarded. So I actually created this. I still have it right here. It's this biker gang info, June 9th, 2005. And it's this thick. It's intel on how patrol can identify, talk to, communicate, understand outlaw motorcycle gangs and white supremacist gangs and any other gangs that I was familiar with. So, and shortly after that, I was called up to, and listen, I did a briefing for the FBI Marshal Service. I had all the agencies come in and I did a briefing. 2 weeks later, after that, I was called up to the sheriff's department, up to the office, and into the conference room. And the deputy chief, the chief deputy, and the captain were both there. And they said, "Mike, we're sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. The sheriff says there's no more light duty for you." And it was like a kick in the, you know what, it was just the worst thing that anybody could have ever said to me in my life. I mean, my wife asked for a divorce, that hurt me, but to say that I wasn't needed anymore, or I couldn't participate, I couldn't be, I couldn't be a contributor, I couldn't be a cop. I mean, that's what killed me. So, that day, I still remember that day. I broke down in tears. I said, are you serious? Are you, this can't be true. And so it was true. And it was a struggle after that, Eric. My fiance left me. She couldn't be married to a guy with a brain injury without a job. And workers' comp and the different levels of how you get paid when you're on workers' comp. I was making less than $130 a week. And I'd been a cop for 23 years. And so I was homeless. I was literally living in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
This was not a Chris Farley joke. Right. I mean, this was literally me. And so I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with my life. And it got really bad, Eric. And so not being able to be a cop, losing my identity as a police officer, not knowing where do I fit in society now? Where do I fit? Because I'd always been a cop ever since I was 18, 19 years old. This is all I've ever done. And so I struggled very, very hard. I went through a very deep depression. I suffered from alcoholism. I even died twice. And I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know what else to do. So there was a miracle in my life, and that's for another story, but a miracle took place. And I was able to survive and get through that and get through. I've been sober 11 years now. So that accident happened 11 years ago. And from that point on, my life has been just amazing, it's been a struggle. Don't get me wrong. But up until about, through my recovery in alcoholism, I sponsored people. I got involved with other cops who were alcoholics that needed help. I sponsored other cops who were alcoholics. I immersed myself with people. I did AA. I got involved with other people who needed help that were just like me, and so after a couple of years of doing that and really getting back on track, I'm married now. I have a wife. I have everything that I have. So I started a company, and since like I said, Septed was my thing back in the old days, and so I reinvented myself. I brought myself back. I didn't have to wear a uniform. I could still be of service to my community, but I didn't have to have a badge on. I still was the same service-minded, community-oriented person, but the uniform changed.
Right.
And that's what I had to realize, is that we identify ourselves as cops only. And if we do that, when that day comes when we can no longer become a cop, whether or not we decide to walk off on our own or not, we have to realize that we are more than just the uniform we put on. And that's a very important point in all of this, because I nearly killed myself because I didn't recognize that I was more than just the badge I put on.
Right.
And so I started my company. I started working, doing crime prevention. I started doing, I had a TV show, a radio show. I immersed myself in the community again to be able to show people that there are ways that you don't have to be a victim. I became certified as a International Septet Association practitioner, advanced practitioner. I'm one of only 7 in the United States. And so I immersed myself back in the community. And I keep my 218 active so I can still carry my gun all over the country. You know, that's important too as a cop. If you're retired, you know, if you've left in good standing, make sure you get your HR 218. I don't know if you guys talked about that at all, but it's the federal law that allows retired police officers in good standing to carry a firearm in all 50 states. So so I needed to be part of the community again. And so I just started teaching. I started showing people what I knew and caring for the people. And then what happened was this 2 years ago, COVID hit, right? And so our governor, who happens to be not like your governor, in fact, is totally opposite of your governor.
Okay.
And it's very similar to your governor in Michigan. So her name is Janet Mills, and who's probably in the same sentence as your governor in Michigan, same type of personality. So she shut all the companies down. She shut everybody down. I didn't know I lost my company. I couldn't travel. I couldn't teach. I couldn't do anything. I was frustrated. I was angry at her. Oh, I was so angry at the government, the way they could just shut us down like that.
Yeah.
So I saw what was happening to you guys who were still on the street being attacked and being, by these mobs and the Antifa and the BLM. And I saw regular citizens being attacked by the BLM mobs and these Antifa riots. I sued Governor Mills. I sued the governor for violating our constitutional rights, along with 3 other plaintiffs. And we filed our lawsuit in federal court. And it ended up in First District out of Boston appeals court. And we ran out of money because the governor has all the money she needs to defend herself. She has taxpayers' money, and she has the availability to use the attorney general to fight against any grievances that we had as people. So I sued her. And in the meantime, all this is taking place is that the person who helped raise some money for this lawsuit to sue the governor, I just happened to call him up. I said, "Hey, Gary, you're helping us out, raise some money. Let's have some lunch." So we met under clandestine conditions in this sandwich shop in South Portland, Maine, 2 years ago. And I'd heard of a woman and her 3 kids get attacked and surrounded by BLM protesters in Bangor, Maine. Her name was Gina. I heard her fright, how she was there and held hostage there for 14 minutes while she couldn't move. She was surrounded and yelling at her kids, calling her kids white supremacists, taking their shirts off, exposing themselves to her, and how terrified her and her kids were before she could actually get herself out of that situation. So I said, "Gary, I have to do something." I said, "I'm a chemical agent specialist. I designed less than lethal options for people back in the 90s for Mesa PD, where I designed the chemical agent specialist program. I know pepper spray." I said, "How can I get pepper spray from inside her car outside?" And so we designed what I invented is my mobile pepper spray deployment system, where you can deploy pepper spray from inside your car, being safe inside your car, that will go to the whole exterior of your vehicle from inside, allowing you time and distance to escape. You're just moving people away from you. So I invented this system throughout this whole pandemic, through all this crap that's happening to you guys. My brain is going into research and development and coming up with less than lethal options for you guys that you can use. So when you guys get surrounded, that you have an option, because right now running someone over, moving someone away with your vehicle is not a good option.
Right.
Because you're going to get scrutinized for that. So my option is that why don't I give a cop the option to use a toggle switch on their dash that would disperse pepper spray from 360 degrees all the way around their cruiser so they could escape without hurting anybody.
Yeah.
So I came up with this system. I have it patent pending. I have it here in the United States. I have a patent pending in South Africa. So I started F3 Defense 2 years ago because I just wanted to continue contributing to making the cops safer,
Yeah.
the public safer. And so that's where the evolution has come. And when I started F3 Defense, Eric, because of my injury and because of my traumatic brain injury and because of my alcoholism and my struggles with all of that, and now my weight loss and being able to compete in bodybuilding competitions and being 56 years old and just being on the top of my game,
Yeah.
it's just the most amazing time of my life. I started a podcast called Freedom from Fear, and it's about helping cops and veterans and their families get through the stuff that we go through and that we can't get through, because we like to talk to other cops. Cops don't like to go up to the boss, the lieutenant, the captain, the chief, and say, hey, I feel like crap today, or I felt like crying last night. That shit doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear in your podcast.
Oh, I swear
that
all the
stuff
time.
doesn't happen. Okay. That stuff doesn't happen. So we need peer support. We need to say, hey, Eric, I need to talk to you, buddy. I'm not feeling good today. Can we talk about what we saw last night? Or can we talk about what happened yesterday? But it's okay we talk to our other peers. So that's why I started Freedom from Fear, is for people to come on and say, hey, I've got the street cred now, man. I went through it, and with God's grace, I'm able to come out on the other end and say, okay, I'm here. I survived it. Now, who else can I help through this? And if I can attach somebody, if I can put somebody into a resource or connect somebody, then I will. And that's why I started working with Randy over with the Wounded Blue. That's trying to put my shirt up here. Yeah. The Wounded Blue. Randy's been a friend of mine for a while, and for over a decade. And he's done great work with the Wounded Blue. He's retired from Las Vegas Metro. He suffered a stroke. He suffered a traumatic brain injury. People don't think strokes are TBIs. They are. They're an injury to the brain.
Right.
And he saw what was happening to other police officers who were hurt in the line of duty, and saw what their departments were doing to them, and the lack of support that they were offered, and the lack of support that the families were offered as well. So I vowed when I started F3 Defense, because I do believe it's divine intervention that I even have this company, because it's a crazy system. It's super. It's going to revolutionize the way people are going to be safe around their cars. So I'm so grateful for that. But I wanted to make sure I gave back. So I give money back so for every unit that I sell, $5 goes to the Wounded Blue.
Oh, nice.
I want to make sure, listen, there are so many different organizations that have great intentions that want to help, right? But what's their biggest deficit? What's our biggest downfall? Money. We don't have enough money as organizations to make a real big difference. I mean, a global difference, right? We have to start putting these peer support groups in little communities, and then starting with the ground force. But all of that takes money, Eric. And so what I talked with Randy's on my board of my advisory board for F3 Defense. But I told Randy, I said, the only way we can help our cops is by raising a lot of money, and getting this in every single community, getting the whole idea that we are going to have peer-to-peer, we're going to have critical incident training, we're going to have all of this stuff in every single department that every cop's going to be able to have access to, whether it's an app. I know a lot of PDs are starting to come to this app, which is just totally for mental health, that it's nobody else gets to know about it, right? So you can make sure that if it's a peer-to-peer, you want to talk to the peer group guy or whoever's leading your peer support. That stuff needs to happen, and that stuff can only happen if you have money. And so what I did was I dedicated that. The other organization that I promised to give back was the Travis Mills Foundation. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Travis Mills.
I have not.
Travis Mills was in the Army. He's one of the only 5 quad amputee survivors. He lost all 4 limbs in Afghanistan. He now owns and operates his foundation, which is a retreat for, he calls it, to recalibrate veterans who are amputees, but he also has a place for TBIs. And this place is an amazing retreat on a lake. It's for families, for PTSD. It is a top-notch location, and so I give back and support to Travis Mills because I'm also a veteran with a TBI. And so that was very important to me, Eric, that I know now that the company, this product that I invented, is going to save a lot of lives, but I also hope it's going to generate a lot of income. So where we can make a significant change in some police officers and families and veterans' lives.
Yeah, I've never heard. This is some James Bond shit.
It's pretty cool.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, so this is kind of like this is one of them that sits on the roof of your vehicle.
Okay, so it's like a puck.
And it looks, yeah, I call it the puck. Yeah. And it has 4 omnidirectional ports. And then you have a regular port that goes on here. And this is more of a throw it hard. You put it on your roof. You've got the MK, big old MK20s here. Pepper spray, a quarter-inch tube right into this quick release, to a quarter-inch tube right into this quick release. And you've got a closed OC system.
Nice.
And so that's one of them. And then I have one that looks just like the shark fin on the antenna shark fins on the vehicles. So if you go to my website, f3defense.com, it'll give you an example of what the shark fin looks like. But we're pretty stoked about that. Yeah, Eric, we're working a deal with a major company that's going to be distributing our mobile pepper spray deployment system. So I'll get back to you and let you know about that.
Okay.
So I was just out in San Francisco PD. I did a demo. I've been out there twice with their SWAT unit. They've demoed it. They love it. They're going to be buying. I created a Lancer system after my buddy Lance Hevlin, who I created the pepper spray, the chemical agent specialist program in Mesa. Well, he ended up in San Francisco PD.
Yeah.
And he ended up dying from skin cancer. But I invented this product, this Lancer that sits on the light bar, and it's called the Lancer. I named it after Lance. But the first PD that I got to show it to was San Francisco PD, and they just happened to call me and say, I saw you online. Can you come up and show us how this thing works? So back in November, I went up and showed them how both the Lancer, the fin, and the puck works as an alternative for the less than lethal options for them, and they love it. So I was just back there like 2 weeks ago. I was there, and now they're going to be purchasing it.
So what does the Lancer do? Is it the same thing?
So the Lancer is awesome. So the Lancer is much more than this. This is just something you could put on the roof. The Lancer is a system that is a half-inch, a quarter-inch tube that goes across the top of the light bar. Okay, it comes in a mount, and then it sits on the light bar, which it's drilled right into the light bar. So you have a hose that goes to the trunk. Let's say you're in your Explorer. You have a 10-pound cylinder of OC. So we give you 2 quarts. You can put as many quarts as you want to. Let's say you want 2 quarts of OC. You pour it in the cylinder. You charge it. You get it up to pressure about 100 pounds, and now you seal it. You have an electronic actuator at the top, in the rear, that has an electronic line to the dash. So now you've got the OC directly to the light bar, which is running from the back of the tube to the 10-pound cylinder. And now you've got a toggle switch to the front with power. So that's the difference between like the quick and dirty ones that you put on the roof and the fins that you can actually hard assemble on the roof.
Right.
This is a special ops. This is something you can pour out about 2 gallons of OC in a square block if you wanted to, and you can toggle off and on. So if you're in a riot situation or your force field protection type of thing, you could spray, clear the area, let it go, move to another block, spray, get it to another block. So that's the Lancer system, and San Francisco likes it.
I would get Seattle on board too. They have a lot of riots up there. So,
I know.
I'm thinking all these agencies that they've lost a lot of vehicles to riots. So that would be a good one. No, that's pretty cool, man. I've never, it's one of those ideas that's like, it's always been right there in your head. You just never thought of it. And then somebody like you comes along and you're like, here you go. And you're like, why the hell hasn't this been invented before?
Do you know how many people have said that? They said, why did I think of that?
Yeah.
Why did I think of that?
Yep.
I said, I don't know. It was timing. I heard Gina's story. I saw a buddy of mine, Bob Dougherty, a lieutenant in Portland PD. His cruiser got surrounded
And I have his video cam, his dash cam. I'm like, dude, he said, man, I couldn't do anything. He said, I had to call for another unit to come in and try to help me get out, maneuver myself out. But so I said, I invented this for you, Bob, because if you had this, you would have cleared right out of there. So it's really about timing, Eric. And it's about really, it's
Yeah.
right place, right time, and divine intervention. I still believe that.
So I got to ask, where did F3 Defense, where'd that name come from? What's the meaning behind it?
Freedom from fear. So so it's 3 F's, freedom from fear. So when I first started my company back in, I don't know, 8 years ago, it was Michael Mercer Consulting. And I did crime prevention and I did SEPTED. And my tagline was freedom from fear. And so that just kind of, as Michael Mercer Consulting, no longer teaching anymore, now became F3 Defense. I took freedom from fear and just, made it the F3. And now we have an F3 defense system. So it's freedom from fear. And that's the name of the podcast, Freedom from Fear, the podcast. So it's really about empowering people. And I think that this defense systems empowers you as a soccer mom, as a grandma, as a dad, or whoever might be driving around, that you may never use it, but at least gives you that empowerment to say, if somebody attacks me or tries to carjack me or tries to surround my vehicle, I have that power to protect myself and my family. And that gives you that freedom from fear.
Have you gotten any, have you checked like legality wise, state to state? I mean, I don't see that being a problem in Texas. Obviously it's not a problem in Arizona or any of that, but has there been any states that are like, no, you can't do that on your car?
Yeah, there are states, but there are quantities. So the OC is legal in every state. It's just determines on the quantity. Some states aren't going to allow you this 20 ouncer. They're only going to allow you a 2 ouncer. And so there are going to be different ways to get this in different states and even jurisdictions. New York City, you can't get it. I mean, because of the local laws is that the only way you can get OC in New York City is, believe it or not, a pharmacy or a gun dealer. And that's where you can get pepper spray in New York City. So a lot of these crazy governments do that, but 99% of the country is like, yeah, you need to protect yourself. And again, I'm not in the pepper spray business. I'm in the system business. And then, they can attach pepper spray, and I am working with a couple of pepper spray companies right now, big pepper spray companies.
Saber.
I know Saber. I know Guardian.
That's
I know
who
Mace.
Yeah,
you guys use Saber. Yep, I was a distributor for Saber for a long, long time.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you know how cops are with pepper spray. Some will never use it. They'll just like, nope, it's not an option for me. I like having it, especially when you're dealing with like a big group fight or something like that. I'm not getting in that pile, but I'll stand upwind and just let the spray hit them and hopefully disperse them. Yeah, stuff you learn in the long you've been in. I'm not wasting my energy in a fight with all that crap. So pepper spray is awesome. I will fight you right there on scene if you try to spray your pepper spray in the back seat of my car on a suspect, because I'll let them destroy that car all they want. You are not spraying in my vehicle, because I'm the one that's going to have to deal with it afterwards.
For a while too.
Yep.
Yeah, OC, it's great. It's organic. That's why I love using it, because there's no damage to somebody. You're not going to damage somebody's eyes. You're not going to damage somebody. Nobody's going to suffocate. A lot of the old timers in the old days, we use CS and CN, tear gases, but OC is organic. It's an organic alkaloid. I put it on my cheeseburgers. I mean, it's not going to hurt you at all.
Yep. And I'd rather be tased than be pepper sprayed.
Oh, dude, not me. No, give me pepper spray. No. I don't like tasing. Ugh.
5-second ride versus 45 minutes of pain. And then once you go wash it off, you go take a shower, and then it's the gift that keeps on giving. If anybody's ever had pepper spray or it hasn't, make sure when you wash off, you keep your head forward, because it will rinse right down to the gins, and it does not feel good.
No, it does not. Do not. Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Yep. Milk's my favorite. I like using milk in a Pepto-Bismol type mix concoction. Every cop thinks they know the best way. That's what I use to relieve the pain.
I've been sprayed 108 times, so it's just.
I'm a baby. I hate it. And especially when a partner's not paying attention to the conditions outside and they spray everybody but the person that they're trying to spray. Oh my God.
Well, that's why the new gel comes into handy. The new gel.
Yeah, I've seen.
Focus the gel on somebody's eyes, you know?
Yeah, I've seen the gel. I'm a cone guy. I like the cone. So for those listening, if you're wondering what we're talking about, it's just the stream pattern of the OC. Some is in a gel, some is in a stream, like a liquid stream, like you'd spray out of a hose almost. And then there's one that comes out in the shape of a cone, and that is my favorite. I like the cone personally.
I like anyone that works. This one is a vapor. So the one I use for the motor vehicles, this is Guardian, by the way. Yeah, this is Guardian. So the one for motor vehicle, this is a vapor. So it really kind of comes out and then just
clouds up. Yeah. Yeah, the vapor would be nice. That would be sweet. But yeah, that's a great idea, man. Like I said, I'm surprised that hasn't. And hopefully anybody listening to this, you got some equipment guys at some departments listening to this, and they'll start.
Yeah, please call me. I'll travel anywhere. Like I said, I was in California. I was down in the Border Patrol 3 weeks ago. They love it. We're going to start outfitting the border down in Tucson. We did they have a less than lethal workforce down there that we did a demo for them. So this is going to get on a lot of PDs and a lot of agencies out there. So if you want me to come to your PD, do a demo, I'll be on a plane tomorrow, and we can get this taken care of, because I want to get you guys safe. This does not have to wait until next year to come to you. So
yeah,
I'm on to it.
And for citizens out there listening, and you're like, how in the hell is this going to bridge gaps between the community? Listen, if you can save a patrol car and not have taxpayer money or taxpayers insurance that they use for the departments have to, up the premiums and all that crap because they're losing patrol cars. I mean, I think it's worth the investment. What are you allowed to talk prices? Like, what can people expect as far as?
I think for when it finally hits the public retail market, it's going to be less than $400.
Oh, so we're looking that's less than a firearm, mostly a decent firearm anyway. You may be able to get a couple high points for that, but
well, right now we're looking at about a $400 retail. So, once it launches, we hope to be launching it should be in a store near you really within the next 6 months. That's how close we are with this major reseller.
Well, that's cool. Well, shit, put one on my pickup truck. Oh,
you got it, man. I'll be to Fort Worth any day.
There we go. I'll put it on my pickup truck. That'd be great. I'd love that for my daughters. Just knowing that they can.
I know. I got to show you the fin. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah,
you get your fin.
I gotta take these off.
That's all right. I can fill time while you go to get that. No, that's a cool ass idea though. It's something that, like I said, it reminds me of James Bond. Throwing out the fog or like some of these big diesel trucks rolling coal.
Oh man, hold on 1 second. I gotta take my headphones off.
Okay, you're good. But no, I like that idea. That's pretty cool. And like I said, saving money, keeping your patrol car safe, like that'd be cool. I would even go farther and hope that maybe there's some sort of remote distribution that you can do. My team is texting me. We had a diaper party for somebody last night on my team, and everybody's recovering from that. But so I was just saying, the more I get to think about it, it would be kind of. He's messing with his headphones. I'll make sure he hears it. I was just brainstorming. I was saying it'd be kind of cool to have a remote distribution as well. If I'm in a building and I see people jacking with my car as a patrolman or whatever, riots, I couldn't make it to my car and I'm trying to get there to be able to hit a button and distribute it.
We're working on Bluetooth. That's going to be next generation stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But check this out. This is the fin. So this is what would be sitting on the roof. And this is underneath. So you've got where the hose comes in.
Okay.
The hose comes right into this valve. It's a quick release valve right here.
Okay.
And then this sits on the roof. And we've also added another feature where you could bolt this and make this as secure. So this is an added feature the Border Patrol wanted, is a bolt so they could put that right on their roof. And then they run the 1/4-inch hose through the headliner and then down the B pillar of the side of the car. And then right down to the driver's side where they've got the the MK20 next to them.
Okay, very cool.
So it becomes a whole closed system, and nobody would even think that this is more than just, because you can see the holes. There's a hole there.
Yeah.
The hole, this, regardless of that hole.
Yeah. I see the little one up there at top. Yeah.
There's a hole there.
Hell yeah.
And then there's a hole
in the
there.
rear. Very cool. You know, it would be kind of neat is get one of those like 360 GoPro cameras or whatever, stick one up there and just, I mean, I know patrol cars are they're going to have, you know, their own cameras mounted on the thing, so they'll get the action, but like a demo video where it's like shows all the angles of it just pushing out and nailing people.
I'll send it to you. I do have it.
Oh, you do have it? Okay, that'd be cool to watch.
Oh yeah. I got some really good ones, especially the ones I did the ones over in San Francisco last week. It was really cool at their SWAT, down to their SWAT.
How far is that stuff hitting out if there's no wind? You know, like how far is that really?
We got it without wind about 18 feet, and we were in San Francisco with good wind, and we got it at about 10, 12 feet.
Very cool. Now, can you, can I say, I just want it to go out the right side. I just want it to go out the left side. Nope. It just shoots out all directions. Okay. Yeah. Everybody gets to play.
Everybody's going to get a little piece.
Yep. Everybody gets to play. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's cool. I like it. I mean, when we're talking these instances, this stuff's going to be used. I mean, it's to save your ass and save your patrol car and damage and all that.
Well, that's
stuff,
right.
so.
I mean, look at the money you're saving, right? If you have to use deadly force, there's going to be huge amount of litigation.
Right.
There just is. So you're giving officer option. It costs about $80,000 to replace one of the cruisers. You know, with all the equipment that's in there now, you set one of those on fire, you're done. You don't. Not only do you lose the cruiser, but you lose that cruiser to do any of its patrol that's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So you've taken a vehicle off the fleet. That's money. The loss of life and injury to an officer. That's money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of this stuff is going to cost the city money when all they have to do is buy, you know, a $400 unit that would allow them to save property, life. To me, it's all about life.
Yes.
But, you know, but when it comes down to numbers and people, they like to know what the whole figure. But between life and property and the community at large, I think this less than lethal option is the best option available today. I just do. There's nothing like it. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie. I would, and I don't know how much of my show you've seen or heard, but I will tell you if I think your stuff is bullshit, or if I don't like it.
Right on. No, I saw a couple of your shows. You got a great show.
Yeah,
no, I dig it.
I got this guy. He's been reaching out to me about this idea to protect catalytic converters, and I'm just like, that's cool premise. I don't buy into your product, dude. I don't think it's going to do what you think it's going to do. And he's persistent. He's like, well, what about that? I'm like, I'm not endorsing what you're selling, man. I don't see it working. I've seen people do extreme measures to protect. A U-Haul is one of them. They were soldering or welding rebar around their catalytic converters. They're still stealing them. Like, if you're putting a cage around it and they're still getting to them, dude, your idea is not going to work.
I got a little remote OC thing.
Oh, really? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could put that under the car.
I know. It's just
that would be the shit too. Oh so man, I just thought about that. That would be a great anti-catalytic converter theft deterrent right there. Just if the decibels start to reach a certain level around the catalytic converter, just automatically deploys from underneath the car. Oh, that would fuck them up. In a heartbeat. Dude, we got an idea right here. Let's start working that. Catalytic converter theft prevention. Yeah, that would be the shit. Hell yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm serious. That might work. That's a big problem right now.
It's a big problem.
I became an unintentional subject matter expert dealing with so many catalytic converter thefts. So I constantly have different agencies reaching out to me about them. But yeah, man, maybe you might have to start looking into that. But I want to get into, so I had Randy on the show, Randy Sutton, for anybody listening.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I basically, somebody introduced me to Randy a few months ago and said he'd be a good dude to have on the show. And then I start looking into him. I'm like, this guy's a big deal. Like, he's into everything. I'm pretty good with knowing big names in law enforcement. But I never heard of him before, and I was kind of surprised I hadn't. So yeah, he's a
Now you know him.
yeah, a good dude, and I took his website for Wounded Blue. It's called Wounded Blue, correct?
That's right.
So I took Wounded Blue because once he explained it and told me what it was about, I was like, I got to be involved somehow. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I popped it on my website. So anybody wanting to look more into Wounded Blue and really supporting your police officers, because that's kind of the message that I want people to get, is if you don't support your officers, like what happened with Michael and him getting fired, essentially from his job for an injury while on duty that, it was beyond his control and is part of the job, you are not going to get the cops that you're looking for. You're not going to get the quality of officers you want to work for you. You want the guys that are willing to risk injury, earn that, what we say is earn that paycheck. We will earn that paycheck. And you want those guys. And if you aren't backing them, no matter how much time the recovery time is, and I don't consider 2 years to be an abundant amount of recovery time when we're talking about a TBI. As long as the doctors can tell you that, yes, we can get you back into on-duty form, as long as that's out there, then the department needs to back you up. Now, it's hard for some officers to admit that they will never recover, which sucks.
Right.
But if that's the case, that's different. We can't help that we can't recover, but you need the department to back you up and take care of you.
Right. There's got to be something in place.
Yes.
Right. You can't go from, okay, we're making good money as cops. So, I mean, for what we're doing and where we're at, $80,000 if you're doing okay here in Maine at about the time. So when you go from $80,000 a year to making $130 a week.
Yeah.
That takes a huge toll. And what if I had a kid, I had child support to pay. I had a rent that I didn't have, I was living in my van, but how does that happen to cops when we give our whole lives and our blood, literally blood, sweat, and tears to this job?
Yep.
And then we get thrown away. So I'm so excited that you got to meet Randy. He's passionate about other cops and how they're treated.
Yep.
And, we do this together, Eric. We can make a big difference.
I agree. And I think, the premise of the podcast, this whole premise that I came up with was stuff like this, is using social media as a platform to bridge the gap. And it's not just about cops supporting cops or us trying to make people like, oh, woe is me, the cop. I want to have conversations with all sides of the house. I had a guy on here that had been wrongly convicted 24 years. Now, he had committed a crime, and he fully owned up to that, but the system screwed him bad. And the system came back later, and luckily we got somebody that recognized the fault or the intentional, whatever it was, and opened their eyes and was like, oh shit, we did do this guy an injustice, even though it owns up to, being a 16-year-old criminal, which we all know at 16 years old, we're really thinking clearly anyway.
Right.
And, the guy was the model of what you would want from an inmate. He got his education while he was in. He did everything he could to reform, and he just wanted a second chance, that type of thing. And he wasn't going to get out. He was going to be in there for life, basically his life. And he got out. But that opened up the conversation to start talking about corruption and corrections officers and how they're kind of the unchecked checks and balances. There's no checks and balances on COs like there is for police because they're not in the public eye, out of sight, out of mind. People don't care what's happening to prisoners and things of that nature. And I think that all matters, because if they get out of prison and they had a bad time with corrections officers, well, what is a cop? I'm a corrections officer, but on the outside. I'm never going to get compliance from them. They're never going to trust me. You have to earn trust. And if you don't want recidivism, you got to bridge these gaps and fix the problems everywhere in the CJ system, and at least be able to acknowledge that there's problems. Because if we don't talk about it, we're never going to be able to fix it. And it's the same with the Wounded Blue. If we don't talk about issues like you, who specifically went out there, and Randy had the same problem. Good cops getting the shaft after, basically giving your life or giving everything you got for a career you loved. And you sounded like you got blindsided by it. Like the writing wasn't even on the wall.
Oh, I had no idea. I mean, this is what I wrote. And I mean, look at the size of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So here you are doing.
I keep it on my shelf because it's the last thing I wrote as a cop. And so I was still able to contribute.
Yes.
And that's the thing about, it's about us cops. I mean, we are a type of personality that we need to be able to contribute, right, to the mission. We have a mission, and when we all have a place in that mission, right? And that's what we like. That we like knowing where our place in our mission is, and so that's what happens, man. And when we lose sight of that mission, when we're, like I said, if you get medically retired, you didn't leave on your own accord, right? You didn't leave because you wanted to. And if you leave and you're okay, a lot of cops aren't prepared for what happens afterwards. They're just tired of the job. But what am I going to do next? Do I sit around? Then the bottle comes, they drink, or they get, something, the body hurts. So they start taking prescription drugs, or a lot of bad things end up happening. And then, like I said before, suicide. So we're working hard on the whole suicide prevention. I try to stay away from suicide awareness. We all are aware that people are killing themselves. We all are aware that, the 22 veterans a day that kill themselves, and the, the hundreds of cops a year that kill themselves. We know that. Let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Let's start doing the work rather than saying this is happening. And it seems like, listen, the government tells us that all the time. They just don't have solutions. I'm a solution guy. I want to say, okay, Randy, you got an organization, you've got something strong, you've got momentum. Let's start fueling it. So this thing, this organization that we love because what it's going to do for our fellow brothers and sisters, we need to start feeding it. And so supporting Randy, and it's just not Randy. It's all of the people who are the peer support that are involved with the Wounded Blue. Just amazing. We were out there in November, and if you get a chance to go to the Officer Survival Summit this year, I think it's I believe
October?
It's in Indiana this year.
Yeah, he told me about
in
that.
Indiana.
Yep. Yeah, he said I'd get a spot out there if I wanted.
Oh, good. Yeah, we were in Vegas last year, and in October, and it was just, man, if you get a chance to go, if you get some guys and girls from Fort Worth to go up to it, and it's just it's a good 3 days of not just fellowship, but real good learning, understanding, and networking.
Yeah.
Real good networking.
Yep, for sure.
So,
yeah, I'm interested. I told him, I said, I wish it wasn't in Indiana, because he told me the first one was in Vegas. I was like, come on, bro. Like,
I called him 2 weeks ago. I heard from one of his buddies who actually produced the Wounded Blue. I was talking to him. Actually, I got to be on a meeting with him in a little bit. And he said, yeah, we're going to be in Indiana this year. I'm like, what?
Why?
What?
Yeah.
You went from Vegas to Indiana?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm from the Midwest. There ain't nothing in Indiana worth visiting for me. It's got some beautiful country.
Well, it sounds to me like it's central, and cops from the west and the east and the north can all come.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
I see his point there. I think we can be more effective in a centralized location.
Yeah, and no knock on if you're from Indiana, guys. Definitely great hunting out there. I can give you that. But when it comes
Larry Bird's from Indiana.
Yeah, that makes sense.
French Lick. Yeah. I know. I see Michigan behind you.
Yeah, I'm a Pistons. Let's beat the hell out of them. It's the bad boys, baby. So yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm hoping I can make it. I obviously I can't dedicate myself to it yet. I still have to. I'm in a weird position in my career, where I'll be eligible to promote to sergeant in November.
Right.
So I got to figure out where my studying time and doing that and vacation times and stuff like that. And my wife will be graduating to December, so she's better with the scheduling and stuff like that. So I'm holding out till it gets a little bit closer before I can. I'll probably have a decision right after summer, so because I'll know more.
Well,
but would love to go out there.
Connie and I will be there. Hopefully, we'll be to a point where we can be a major sponsor for them.
Okay.
This time around.
Very cool.
F3 Defense. So.
Well, if you need to be a minor sponsor, Two Cops One Donut is always looking for a sponsorship. So
when my budget comes in, this hopefully. So it's pretty cool because I'm a startup. I really am. I started this thing on my whatever I'm getting from my retirement, and then I was just able to take my wife out of the banking world, so we took her 401k, and so we're on the brink of actually making some money. So we're
nice.
Actually paying our bills so we can make money.
Nice. See, I turned this into an LLC, and because I dropped, and people who listen to this show know I spent about $12,000 of my own money. Not intentionally. I bought some stuff I didn't need, but I didn't learn that. It's a learning curve. So, but yeah, that's where I'm about. And, I'm trying to just break even. I want to get back. So I get the Two Cops, One Donut stickers. I created these stickers. I don't have any around me, but, to try to start getting some sort of income in while I looked for sponsors. So my year mark is, the 27th. So I will have officially had my podcast for a year on the 27th, and I finally got a sponsorship from a company, the company Impact. They supply to my department, and I've used them for the last 11 years and never thought to even ask them. So I reached out and was like, hey, and they're all on board. They share my stuff, and then my buddy, it's actually my dad's friend. They kind of almost retired together, and he runs that gun shop that I was telling you about. And so he helps. And you understand this, starting out as a small business. He didn't have the overhead to, everything goes back into the business, so he doesn't have the money to do the show. So he'll get me a piece of equipment here and there. I got these cameras. They're like GoPro cameras. So if I go out in the field and try to record anything, now I've got something small, simple that I can keep with me. But he helps out when he can. And, but it's hard. It's hard to find sponsors and stuff like that. I don't know what I'm doing either. That's the other part where.
Well, that's the cool thing about it is that when I started this, I just wanted to do, and listen, I'm not a professional. I actually have to take my podcast in I got about 10 minutes left. So
okay, we're good.
I have another podcast I got to tape, but I'm not at all. I only wanted to do this podcast as a supplement to F3 Defense, where I can, because of the charities that I give back to, I wanted this to be my vehicle to promote my my mission when it comes to wellness, officer wellness, and veteran wellness.
Very cool.
So this is essentially this makes me zero money. I don't have all this stuff on the back. It's just cool stuff that I've put together on the wall.
Right.
I have no sponsors. Will I one day? I don't even know how long I'll have my podcast. I like doing this, but I'm not making any money at it.
Yeah.
This isn't about making any money. It's about me putting people in front of other people. So if somebody hears this show or hears my podcast and says, "Oh man, I'll call that person up," or I've been suffering from that, or I've been drinking too much lately. Maybe I should give him a call, or I've been thinking about that. If that happens, then I've exceeded whatever I wanted to do with this podcast.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And that's the fun I'm having with mine, is just having the conversations, coming up with ideas of how to bridge the gaps with the community, educating people at the same time of, positions and what all these first responders and military guys, because I have military on here as well. And then people on the other side of the coin that are community leaders or have been wronged by the system, and having those conversations. And like you said, it's not to make money. But at the same time, it costs money to get that messessage out there.
Right, and you can't go broke doing either.
Yes, and as much as I would love to on a cop salary, I just cannot. I can't sustain in the long run of doing this. And I plan on doing this. I'll probably do this podcast the rest of my life just because I have
that's very cool.
I love doing it. It's that fun. And like you said, you have a mission. I've got a mission. And the mission, unfortunately and fortunately, I know that mission will never, it'll never see an end. It's something that we'll always have to build. So, that's what I'll do. But I appreciate you doing this, man. And we'll let you get to your thing. So for those listening, just one more time, it's F3 Defense, which check that out at f3defense.com for Michael Mercer and his what I consider a pretty cool product to help protect citizens, patrol cars, life, all that stuff. Basically a pepper spray distributing system for your vehicle. Not just patrol cars, though. Check your local laws. So that'll be coming down the pipe. He has a podcast, Freedom Over Fear, which maybe I'll be on there one day, and you'll check me out on his podcast.
I was just going to say, you're going to be on next. Let's schedule something the next couple of weeks. It's Freedom from Fear. It's on Spotify. It's all the major, I guess, where all the cool podcasts hang out.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah, I'm on the same way, man. I use a company called Buzzsprout, and that distributes me to.
Oh, I use Buzzsprout.
Yes. Yeah. So I use Buzzsprout to get me out on all the major platforms. Very good thing. And then, check out the podcast. Check out F3 Defense, and give the guy some love. I appreciate you being on, man.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. We'll have you on in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good, brother.